start off today's shows by welcoming all of our friends and neighbors stateside. A very happy Thanksgiving. And I'd be lying to you if I didn't hope that our buddy Greg Wyshynski was doing okay. Zach, what did he say he was doing? He was deep frying a turkey, I think, for the first time.
Explosions.
Yeah, because I was having a hard time getting to sleep last night, and I was thinking about Wish, and I'm like, I'm just going to go do like a quick little search to see like what's the worst that can happen deep frying a turkey. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
I've seen those like the Twitter fail compilations of deep fried turkeys, and when I heard that was what he was doing, little prayer went up for Wish today. Let's hope things go smoothly. Let's hope he does it outside as well. Let's start there.
I haven't checked in yet. I tend to leave people alone on the holidays to be with their families, but I am a little bit concerned about Greg, considering this is the maiden voyage of Greg deep frying a turkey. And as we all know, Greg likes to take a drink on holidays. So we hope that everything goes well for the Wyshynski family and said deep fried turkey. I'm sure we'll get the full update when Greg rejoins us on Tuesday. I'm very much looking forward to that.
As you can hear, that's those videos, by the way. Just this little side note.
The explosions, like the turkeys flying
300 feet in the air. The neighbor 20 houses down has turkey landing on our table. It's Greg running down the street chasing after
this is how it ends. This is how it all ends. I thought it was going to be frogs. No, it's turkeys falling out of the sky.
Yeah. Wishing them the best today. I trust it'll go
well. Based on what? Like, seriously? Based on, it can't be vibes. Or it can't, okay, good for you. As you can tell, my voice still sucks, but I am feeling better. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on with me. I think I'm just sort of fighting off, not a bug or anything, but just fighting off not completely surrendering to losing my voice. When you've done this for as long as I have, every now and then, and as I get older, it happens with more frequency. Like, I'll tell you, about now, once every 3 years, I'll just flat out lose my voice. And so I'm trying to limit like all the hits that I'm doing outside of just doing our show here, Zach, and really shut it down. And I'm really trying not to talk, and I'm trying to keep my throat warm and drinking a lot of tea. Still drinking too much coffee. But still, I'm sort of maybe just delaying the inevitable, and I should just surrender to having no voice for a couple of days. But I'm fighting it, Zach. I'm fighting it. You know what I don't like? You know what I don't
What's
like?
that?
I don't have any hockey to watch tonight.
Yeah. No Thanksgiving hockey.
Yeah.
I get it because they don't want to compete with football. Makes sense. But, like,
throw a bone to your hardcores. Throw one bone to your hardcores.
Also, just tee it up so that you get one, like, sick rivalry game or something tossed in there. Or make it a Canadian game so that, it's the Canadian teams and people in Canada who are going to work for those days, and then you're not dragging Americans out down stateside to go and have to work at the hockey arena that day. Just make it in Canada and make it in the middle of... There's a time where there's a lull in the football schedule of the day. Toss it in there. Then. Sneak it
Throw
in
it
there.
in.
Like, that's a good time to just be like... Because then people channel surfing. What am I going to watch now? Football's over. Whoa, what is this? Ooh. Hockey's on today. And catch somebody off guard, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, all right, there you go, something to watch.
I just think throw a bone to your hardcores. Just like you don't necessarily always program to what you refer to as the P1s, which is your sort of core demo. But every now and then, like, throw them a bone. Give them some. One game on a holiday like this.
I'm with you.
But I'm also the guy that lobbies for Christmas Day games. Just one of them. We haven't seen it since 1971. The NHL used to play on Christmas. Stan Gilbertson, for those of you that collect trivia, Stan Gilbertson was the last NHLer to score on Christmas. Anyhow, we're going to try something new here. We're going to workshop in something new here in a couple of seconds, so let's get right to the blueprints. The blueprint is powered by FanDuel. Download the app today and play your game at FanDuel. And coming up on the program, a couple of really special guests Coming up on the show today, we will talk to, we're going to do NHL headlines to kick off the show. Jason Gregor from DFO Rundown is going to stop by. Was supposed to join us yesterday. It's maybe more important considering what might be going on behind the scenes with the Oilers. To have Gregor talk to us today. We'll talk about some trade talk potential there involving netminders. Dan Riccio, 1/3 of the powerhouse that is the Off the Roster program here on the Nation Network, coming back from Vancouver to Toronto. We'll talk to him about the Vancouver Canucks and the Toronto Maple Leafs and his new program with Cabby and Lindsay Dunn. And there you go. Talk Leafs and Canucks with him and plenty more. And we'll kick it all off today, Zach, with something that is going to, and we'll try to grow this thing as much as we can and dress it up a little bit and maybe add some music to it. And I don't know, maybe you'll comb your hair and make it look nice and smile and brush your teeth before the show. I don't know, comb your mustache, whatever. And it's just a sort of...
This is combed. That's sad to say. This is combed.
That's combed?
Yeah. There's not much I can do with it. Anyways, that's not what's important here.
All right. Headlines from around the NHL. Bark them out. What should we be paying attention to today, right now, Zach?
Okay, let's start. The Colorado Avalanche win 10 in a row, and 3 shutouts here in the last little while for them as well in this stretch. I saw somebody the other day, Jeff, online dunking on our friend Tyler over at Oilers Nation because I think at the time that the Avalanche went and acquired both the goaltenders, he tweeted something about how he was thankful the Oilers were not the ones involved in the Mackenzie Blackwood trade, and that one was circulating last night as well off the Avs. 10 in a row.
Somewhere Mikko Koskinen says, I'm still available if you need me. I've still got my pads. I still have better save percentages than the goalies you're running out now, even though you ran me out of town. So here's my question about Colorado, and a couple of other places have discussed this as well. Right now, we're looking at an absolute beast of a team. And right now, we can't help but, as we pause, because did we mention there's no NHL games tonight? There's no NHL games tonight, so we can think about things like this. The best season ever by an NHL team was 22-23 in the Boston Bruins with 135 points. Right now, the Avalanche are trending towards 138. And when you consider how difficult it is to get to 135, you may look at 138 and say, yeah, you just shade them by a few points. No, that is a devastating amount to beat 135. Like when you look at 135, say maybe a team will beat them by like 1. Trending towards 138. Now, I've always maintained, and again, it wasn't an 82-game schedule, it was an 80-game schedule, but the 76-77 Habs with a record of 60-8-12. And the 12, by the way, stood for ties, folks, which old guy here wishes we still had in the NHL, shakes fist at clouds. And that was good enough for 132 points in a much different NHL universe that didn't have overtime and shootouts. But if the Avalanche can do this, and who knows, injuries are always the wild card. If they can do this, I wonder if it's enough to finally get, as we like to call him, John Cooper West, Jared Bednar, a Jack Adams trophy. Finally get him a Jack Adams trophy. Him and Cooper have been two of the best coaches in the NHL for a long time. You don't think so?
No, it has nothing to do with him. I just think he suffers from the same thing that Coop does, where the team is so good now that it's just like he gets written off by it. You know what I mean? Like the team is too good that he's not going to get that consideration, which I think is the wrong approach. And I agree with you. He should be in the conversation. Yeah. But I think he's one of those guys that at the end you're like, look how good this guy was, one of the best coaches in the league. Congrats to coach of a team who wasn't in the playoffs last year, who's in the playoffs this year. You are the Jack Adams winner. So I agree with you, but I'm going to put my foot down and say, no, it does not happen. And it's not his fault. It's just a matter of the team being too good, which...
I know, right? The coach is what helped make that team good, Zach, and is a big... Like, it's always been said that it's easy to coach a traveling all-star team. I think it's harder because you have to manage so many different egos, and it's tougher to get buy-in from guys that have those types of egos and have that type of position in the game. But nonetheless, a conversation for another day. I still do think that it would be a shame if John Cooper and Jared Bednar went through their entire careers and did not have at least one Jack Adams trophy to show for it, because those two guys have been some of the best coaches, specifically John Cooper, in the game today. Let's focus on the Edmonton Oilers here. Wanted to go a little bit more in depth yesterday, but it's even better that we're doing it today. Jason Gregor is with us now from DFO Rundown. He joins me on the program now. And so first of all, I just want to jump in with sort of the big topic of the day outside of Edmonton and the Seattle Kraken are on the horizon, and we'll try to get your screen up. There we go. What dressing room are you in right now, or what media room are you in right now?
I'm just in the media room in the bowels here at Rogers Place. Yeah.
Are there any whispers about goaltenders on the move in the bowels?
Well, there's lots of chatter about it for sure. Who would be the right one? That's to me going to be the question. And goaltending's one thing that they can improve on, but their goaltenders' expected save percentage, which for those who don't know, that's basically you would take an average goalie. And based on the quality of shots they faced, what would his expected save percentage be? In the month of November, Stuart Skinner's is .865 and Calvin Pickard's is .852. I don't care which goal. If you think you're going to bring in Binnington or Jarry and they keep playing this bad defensively, it ain't going to matter. So now, do the Oilers need to change their goaltending? Yeah, I said all summer I didn't think they would have the same tandem after the trade deadline. I still believe that. I think they've got to make a move there for sure. Now, do you trade Skinner out and bring someone else in, or is it better to move out Pickard and bring someone else in to battle with Skinner? That's going to be the discussion, the debate, and you can go many ways. I know Binnington's name's out there, Jeff, a lot. Yeah. I'll just ask you this. Which goal, because everybody says, he won a cup. Yeah, 7 years ago. Do you know how many guys have won a Stanley Cup on different teams 7 years apart?
Yeah.
In the last 40 years? One. Patrick Waugh.
Yep.
Montreal and Colorado, right? That's it. Now, I know, Marc-Andre Fleury won a cup in 2009 with Pittsburgh. Then he won again in 2017, but he didn't play in the Stanley Cup final that year, right? He started 15 games in the first 3 rounds, but then he wasn't in the final, and it was Matt Murray. I don't care what a guy did 7 years ago. What's he doing lately? The last 2 regular seasons for Binnington haven't been good. I think if I was Edmonton, I think there's better options. I would look at Elvis Merzlikins ahead of Binnington. I would look at Tristan Jarry even ahead of Binnington. If it's me,
yes.
Right? I don't know what the organization's thinking, but if it's me, I would choose those 2 guys first. Past pedigree is exactly what it is. Past.
Yeah. To me, Tristan Jarry is the play here. And listen, Kevin Weeks is very plugged in, as we all know, and I don't think Kevin Weeks puts that tweet out that he did frivolously without knowing something. To me, the play is Tristan Jarry for Stuart Skinner. Pittsburgh either eats money or includes someone like Brett Kulak. And the reason I would bring him up is knowing how Kyle Dubas operates. That's a play where he gets a defenseman and then flips him for like a 3rd-round draft pick at trade deadline. And that's the way you make the money wash between the two. But to me, Tristan Jarry is the play. And the one area, as someone mentioned to me this morning, is I don't have the numbers in front of me, but Tristan Jarry's save percentage on high danger chances in front of the net, significantly better than Stuart Skinner. Not that we should use necessarily Stuart Skinner as the bar, but I think you know what I'm going for here. This would be the definitive improvement in net. I think Pickard's probably gone too. I think this is going to be what we saw from Colorado last season. I agree with you there that this is going to be a swapping out of 2. I don't know that they go outside the organization, though. I think they have a look in the American Hockey League, in their own organization, and bring up
Connor
Ingram, even though Ingram's not lighting it up exactly in Bakersfield right now, but at the same time, I was told
by scouts they don't think his game's NHL ready yet today. Now that doesn't mean it can't be in a month. Right? He's only played 8 games, but and speaking of the American League, I go back. I said all summer long, I thought the Oilers made a mistake when they didn't claim DiPietro on waivers. Right, like that, you could have got him for nothing, right? And so they instead went out and they acquired Ingram. Now they didn't give up anything either, and he's in the minors, so it was one or the other. And But I was surprised they didn't go after DiPietro. If you look at DiPietro's numbers, his last 3 years, they've just gotten better every year. And I know it's the American League, but at some point, goalies, when you're putting up 918, 927, now he's at 942 this year, that you think, hey, that guy's at least trending somewhere where I would have given him look. Because for me, Jeff, well, Tristan Jarry, it's 8 games. And yeah, it's been 8 really good games, but it's 8 games. It's a pretty small sample size. We know the goaltending is incredibly volatile from year to year. And the best situation for Edmonton would be to bring in a goalie and Stuart Skinner and have both of them go back and forth. I'm not sure if that's realistic, but I think that would be the better one than, okay, Skinner goes out, now you bring in someone else, and now we have a clear backup. But then we have another guy who we right now think is better, but there's still question marks around him.
The net mining position has been one that has sort of, plagued the Oilers for a long time. I'm glad you brought up the defense as well. Not that you want to sort of pin the horns on one defenseman specifically, but is there one defender? Is there a combination that you look at and you say, this needs some massaging here? Right away, this can't happen.
Honestly, Jeff, it's the entire group. Their defending has gotten worse, actually. It was bad in October, but it's actually gotten worse. I crunched those numbers in November of expected save percentage. They don't protect their front of their net at all. Brett Kulak had a stretch of 10 games where he got outscored 15-0, 5-on-5. Right? You throw Bouchard and Ekholm were terrible in October. Bouchard played very well, except the last game against Dallas, he was bad. Darnell Nurse hasn't found his game. There's no defenseman. Ty Emerson their number 6 defenseman. He might be their most consistent defenseman for what he is and what you'd expect. Matthias Ekholm has to play way better.
You know what's interesting about all this? Jason, on your show, you and I talked about this last trade deadline when the Edmonton Oilers picked up Jake Wallman. You could look at the Oilers' back end, and there's always going to be noise, certainly, around Colorado and Carolina, and the elite of the elite on the back end. But you would look at Edmonton and say, that's a top 5 D, that's a top 5 blue line. I'm still honestly, Greg's I'm stunned at how quickly this has all fallen apart on the back end for the Edmonton Oilers. I have no explanation for it. None. They just look night and day different.
I've been breaking down a lot of film because there were some people who I thought erroneously were claiming that the Oilers changed their system, which they didn't. They haven't changed their defensive system. And if you go down and you break down the Oilers goals, Jeff, if you go back to the last game against Dallas, that game is really no different than 17 days earlier against Colorado when they got spanked 9-1. They were down 5-0 in that game. They were 4-0 to Dallas, and Dallas had a goal called off. It was basically the same travesty both games. But go back and look at the goals. So 2 of those goals in those games, the Oilers had the puck, offensive zone, terrible pass by Mangiapane leads to them going the other way. Now, It wasn't a dangerous chance, but a dump in from center ice where Bouchard and Ekholm go back to get it, they lose the battle behind the net. It's not even a hard battle, and they lose it, they score. Matthias Ekholm later in the game, he's at the top of the circles in his D zone. No one pressured him. He just mishandles the puck. Now he rushes, throws it up. Dallas comes back in, scores. Leon Draisaitl, last 3 seasons, had 20, 22, and 24 defensive zone giveaways. For a guy who has the puck a lot, it's actually a really good number. He has 17 already this year in 25 games. He's on pace for 53. So their guys managing the puck this year has been abysmal, to say the least. And it's shocking because a lot of times, Jeff, it's not even when they're being pressured. They overskate the puck. They mishandle it. They put a pass. And these guys are NHL players, some of them the best player. They'll pass with their eyes closed usually and put it on your tape. These guys are putting it in the skates. It's creating turnovers. They've I don't know if to me, they look mentally, emotionally, physically drained. But guess what? That might be true, but it's unacceptable. Yes, they've went to the Stanley Cup. Well, Florida's went 3 years in a row, and they're without Barkov and they're without Tkachuk, and they're not playing that poorly, right? Tampa Bay went to 3 consecutive Stanley Cups. Don't tell me that just because you won to 2, that now you're emotionally spent more than anyone else. Now, they lost 2, and Florida and Tampa Bay won 2. So it is a different emotion. I understand that, but they're just not playing up to their potential, and there needs to be a wake-up call. They need some energy. They need a lot of things. You've got to work your way out of this. You can't talk your way out of it.
So here's one of the things that I wonder about with Stan Bowman. And I know, I know playing a game like this is essentially meaningless, but I think you're going to know what I'm getting at here. if Connor McDavid hadn't signed the contract extension, do you think Stan Bowman would be behaving differently right now? Like if Connor only gave him this window right now, this season, after that, all bets are off. Maybe I'll sign. Maybe I won't sign. Would Bowman be behaving differently? Because right now, there's a security blanket of an extra 2 years of Connor, right? But if you're Connor McDavid, I'm sure you signed that extension saying, this means that we're going for it 3 years in a row here. I don't want to hear, you know what, we're taking a small step back, or it's not here for us this year. Because I don't think Connor McDavid's interested in winning a Stanley Cup with Edmonton. I think he's interested in winning multiple Stanley Cups with Edmonton. Do you think Bowman would be acting different if McDavid didn't sign the extension?
It's a really good question. My initial reaction would be probably yes, but then he also might be, wheeling from a position of desperation and urgency. And so urgency is good, but urgency and desperation is a very thin line. And, the orders, the good news is that, and you look in the East and the West, but I know it's American Thanksgiving. Everyone uses, this is the day. And now if you're not within a certain point, well, everybody's within 2 points of the playoffs today, right? Like the Oilers are a 500 team in 25 games, and they're 2 points out of a playoff spot, right? They haven't played close to their potential. So that's their advantage. They haven't really dug a deep hole at all. They've played 16 out of 25 games on the road. They've had the most travel to start. Now those are facts. They're not excuses. They're just facts. So in theory, their schedule will get easier. In theory, I would think their best players can't keep mishandling the puck. I think their depth guys will show a pulse and energy and play smarter, and they'll be better. But there's no question that there's pressure on Bowman for sure. If McDavid hadn't signed the extension, the noise would have been a lot louder right from the get-go, probably, a week into the season if they lost 2 in a row. So, it would have been a different scenario for sure. But I don't know if that meant that there would be he might have to overpay for something, but then if he overpays for it and then McDavid walked 6 months later, well, now he's in an even worse hole. So, you know what? I've seen GMs, and you've seen it in any sport, when they deal from a position of weakness or desperation, usually it ends up worse.
Yeah, but I kind of get the feeling too, and this goes back to the Ken Holland era as well. And this is when he wouldn't pay a certain draft pick for I think it was a second round pick for Jonas Korpisalo when Korpisalo was in Columbus. Like this has always been sort of a position of desperation, at best a position of need for the Edmonton Oilers. Like I don't think for years here, everybody knows what Edmonton's looking for, and it's not. Pick a general manager. It's not his job to help you solve your problem. I think he's always negotiating from a position of, we're desperate to get a goaltender here. We can't carry on like this. We need help here to do something.
Yeah, but at the same time, other teams have done it, right? You mentioned Colorado off the top. They revamped their goaltending last year. Now, that's rare. I get that's rare. I'm just saying it's possible. Teams have done it. Now, and look, hey, Detroit went out and got John Gibson, and he's been junk for them. He's got like an 870 save percentage. So there's no guarantee that if you make the move, it works. But I think Edmonton, to me, is twofold. You can change a goalie, and I've thought for 6 months they need to change a goalie. Which one? I think it's easier probably to change your backup and bring in somebody they either need to get an established guy or somebody that they think's ready to pop. And and that can happen. Lots of teams have done it. So get your pro scouts out there and figure it out. And find the guy. That's their job. That's what they're paid for, Jeff. It's not well, it's hard. I remember when Peter Chiarelli said, it's hard to get defense. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's hard. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Of course it might be hard. That doesn't mean it's impossible. There's two different things here. So, Edmonton, you mentioned goaltending, and Wallsted's play right now irritates Oiler fans even more because the Oilers could have taken him at 20 and they traded down to take Morgo, who they took one ahead of Wyatt Johnson. That draft is not looking great. Now, that's a different regime, right? Rick Bracey wasn't here for that, nor was Bowman, but it's still one that rightfully so. And and I'll give them credit, there was lots of Oiler fans, the minute it happened. This isn't hindsight by a lot of them. They're like, what are you doing? Here's your guy right there. There was him and Kosa, who's from the Old Kings. They didn't get either one of them. Yeah. And it's a position of why can't you have too many good goalies, right? It's almost like they say, well, if we can get one, we'll be okay. Now, that being said, they still got to the Stanley Cup final. And in the Stanley Cup final, goaltending has never cost them the Stanley Cup final. I should point that out. They didn't lose the Cup final on goaltending either year. But They have to have more consistent goaltending. And their defense, which is actually being a top 10 defensive team for 2 years, is now in the bottom third. Like, they're brutal. And that's the area that is probably easier to fix because you've shown it, whereas the goaltending is harder to fix because they haven't been able to show consistency.
Okay, off the Oilers page really quickly here before we let you go. Off the top of the program, talked about the Colorado Avalanche, winners of 10 in a row. They stick it to the San Jose Sharks, who are everyone's darlings right now. Here come the kids. And then last night, bam, Colorado reminds San Jose where they are in the pecking order. From the schoolyard to the barnyard, there is a hierarchy, and Colorado showed them where they are and where the San Jose Sharks are in relation to them. Right now, the RIP is for 138 points. Okay, the Bruins set the record with 135 in 22-23. This is what I was asking Zach about, I'm curious your thoughts. If the Avalanche can beat that Bruins record, and again, right now they're trending to 138. If they can beat that record, is that enough to get Jared Bednar the Jack Adams?
Well, that's a no-brainer. Well, like, how could you not be? It'd be improving his team by 30 points. Because I know the argument, oh, look, we took this bad team and got to the playoffs. Well, in some cases, they improved by 10 points. If you take a good team and improve by 30 points, that's unreal coaching for me. But I'll say this. If I'm the Avs, do I want to win 60 games? Boston Bruins did it, lost in the first round. Tampa Bay Lightning, 2019, they did it, lost in the first round. I don't know if it's a great thing if you look at recent history to be that dominant in the regular season.
Yeah. No, finish by all means.
I don't right. They're not going to not try to win, obviously not, but I don't, honestly, it's crazy. It shows you how the NHL is basically two different leagues. There's the regular season and then there's the playoffs. It all starts again at zero. And what you did for the previous 6 months, as crazy as it sounds, ultimately means nothing other than deciding if you get home ice advantage or not.
It's interesting too because you can look at, okay, we're chasing a record here, and do we owe it to the game to chase the record, or do we owe it to our team and our fans to rest our players down the stretch and make sure that we're ready?
Well,
for
they
the
can rest them 1 or 2 games, but the advantage they have right now is they have 2 goalies playing well. So if you decided, hey, Blackwood's played a lot, well, we can play Wedgwood the final 2 games of the season, for instance. I don't think it's going to matter that much. Like, the NHL doesn't rest guys, for 6 games. Sometimes you might rest them for 1 or 2. So, if Makar and McKinnon sit out 1 game, I 100%, if I'm the Avs, I worry more about my team. And now, a historical record, there's still some value to it. Don't get me wrong. I think there's value to it. And the Avs could say, hey, just because those other teams couldn't finish the deal doesn't mean we can't.
And that's it. It's funny, too, because that Boston Bruins team, I mean, they're if Bobrovsky doesn't make that pad save on Brad Marchand and that goal goes in, how different is everything? Because you can recall, listen, maybe the Bruins go on and win the Stanley Cup, but 2, maybe the Florida Panthers don't have this little mini dynasty right now because all kinds of rumors about you can't win with Bob, and does he get traded, and do they re-sign guys? Like that one, I swear, man, like when the book is written on this little mini era of the NHL, that Brad Marchand, Sergei Bobrovsky breakaway is going to be massive for what happened because of that one pad save. Like, you look at, I'm always fascinated with sliding door moments. That is an enormous sliding door moment for the NHL right now and the last couple of years in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Well, hey, go back. Who derailed Tampa Bay in 2019? Bob and the Blue Jackets.
Yep, and that was the best goalie pull that John Tortorella never did. I think Bob just looked at him in the intermission and said, I'm not coming out, and sent it back in. Next thing you know, there was a sweep. Brilliant. Great stuff, Greg. So we'll let you get back to your afternoon at the rink, and we will talk to you soon. Don't forget DFO Rundown with Jason Gregor and Mike Rupp comes out tomorrow morning. Thanks, bud.
Awesome, buddy. Have a good one.
There he is, Jason Gregor from the DFO Rundown here on Daily Faceoff, breaking down the Edmonton Oilers. You have a thought on any of that if you're there, Zach, and not getting Dan on the line?
Yeah, I agree with Greg's, by the way, about the Avs and Bednar. Like, to be clear, I do agree that he should get it.
You just don't think that he will.
No, I just don't think that he will. I think it gets overlooked. That's my issue with it. And like, I don't agree with the way that it goes, but I do agree with Greg's, and I agree with you that he should be in that conversation. And not only that, but probably should win it. I think it's kind of funny, the conversation that you had at the end there, because I didn't think you were going to bring that up, but or Greg's was going to bring that up as well. Looking back at the teams of the past who have gone and dumped everybody in the regular season.
Oh, yeah.
Fared really well for them. Fared really well.
Yep.
But no, I don't expect that to happen with Colorado, and maybe I'm just naive, but I have this impression that they've done it so many years where they've gone to the playoffs since they won the Stanley Cup here now and lost in the first round. Like, even if they don't go on to win the cup, that first round exit, the disappointment of that, at least I feel that will be avoided. There's too much hunger in that room to taste at least a playoff series victory that I can't see them going home the same way Tampa and Boston did in the past couple of years. So
because I think at the end of it, like all those guys in that room in Colorado, I'm pretty sure that there's one thing that, remember after they won the Stanley Cup, they bowed out in the first round against the Seattle Kraken. Like right away, bam! Holy smoke, Seattle, second-year team, just handed it to the defending Stanley Cup champions. I think it burns in them that when they won that Stanley Cup, what did we all say? This is the first of like 4 cups Colorado's going to win, and they're probably looking at that saying, "Are we going to be the Carolina Hurricanes? Are we going to be the Anaheim Ducks? Are we going to be like one of these like one and done teams that you look back on and you say, yeah, remember that one year where they won the Stanley Cup?" And I think that burns in the back of McKinnon, which is why he refuses to smile. And I think that burns in all those guys, Cale Makar. But I sort of mentioned it tongue in cheek. But as far as like changing a room around and everybody fits in the right place and all the pieces are fitting, Gabe Landeskog makes that room. It ain't running hot. It's running cool. And you can see it. The guys are feeling good. They all have their spots. They all have their responsibilities. All the pieces are in the right place, and everyone's feeling good about themselves and their game. I will lay that at the feet of one player specifically, and that is, it just happens to be my favorite hockey player, Gabriel Landeskog. Oh, look at that.
All right. That's convenient, isn't it? It's convenient. I know, your favorite hockey player
little self-serving.
Gets all the credit. Oh,
I know. Your favorite hockey player is the best. Why don't you, enough of me talking about Landeskog. Why don't you talk about him now for a while? Yeah. Okay, are you the kind of Toronto sports fan who rides every high? Zach, I'm thinking of you. Curses through every low and still shows up for more. Well, that's Zach. Then you need to check out Off the Roster, your new must-listen-to Toronto sports show. Cabby, Lindsay Dunn, and Dan Riccio bringing the energy, raw, unfiltered, and packed with fresh takes on everything happening in the Six. From the big plays to the wild trades and every hockey, baseball, and basketball storyline Toronto sports fans obsess over, they're all over it. They honor the history, relive the iconic moments, and still keep their eyes locked on what's next. The next championship run, the next blockbuster move, the next superstar Toronto is about to argue about. Toronto sports isn't just something to watch, it's a culture. And Off the Roster is tapping directly into it. Catch the show every weekday morning on the Nation Network's YouTube channel and anywhere you stream your podcasts. Off the Roster, the new sound in the Six. Don't miss it. And 1/3 of that power trio is Dan Riccio, who is will soon be making his way back to the Six. He joins me now to talk about the Vancouver Canucks and the Toronto Maple Leafs. First of all, Dan, welcome back. I know you're excited to get back to the city of Toronto. We used to work together at Rogers, and I'll tell you what, when I was at the Fan on my first go around, so this would have been 1995, the entire radio station revolved around 2 questions. There were 2 questions, and it was 24 hours worth of programming. It was Shulman, it was McCowan, it was Gordy Stellick, it was Steve Simmons, like everybody. There was 2 questions. And these are the questions. Is Cito Gaston any good? And is Wendell Clark any good? And in the beginnings of Sports Talk Radio in Toronto, those were the 2 questions. But as you have a look at the scenes and the sites right now in Toronto sports, what are the questions that are most interesting to you?
Well, I guess most pertinent to right now are the Leafs any good with how they've been playing this year? And is that 9 straight years in the playoffs finally going to come to an end? How real is the Raptors run right now, going on a 10-game heater as we see it right now? And obviously the Blue Jays making the big splash for Dylan Cease in free agency yesterday. Can they build off, or can they just get that one more win next year to bring a World Series back up north of the border?
You're launching the show at a perfect time too, right? Because there's questions around all of it in Toronto sports, and most prevalently right now. Like, listen, the best thing for the Maple Leafs start to the season was the Toronto Blue Jays run, where everybody was having a look at bats and gloves. The Maple Leafs were blown at the Scotiabank Arena, but now all the attention is on the hockey team. So maybe answer your own question: are they any good? I mean, they win last night. William Nylander with the overtime heroics against the Columbus Blue Jackets, so they don't get beaten 3 times in a row by CBJ. But is this team any good? We saw some key scratches last night. Let's not forget about that too.
Yeah, we're definitely bordering on the they may not be that good this year, right? But they do still have, like with Nylander. I know he had that ugly overtime against Seattle earlier in the year, but the Leafs' last 2 wins, overtime winners by none other than William Nylander. He's one of the best 3-on-3 players over the last 10 years, maybe among the top 5 in the NHL. And that's the thing about the Leafs. They still have JT running hot. They've got William Nylander. He's an amazing player. You get Austin Matthews playing up to expectations and closer to his level. You've still got a high end that not other teams around the league can really reach. So that's where the Leafs may get on their run, Jeff. But, I mean, the defense just doesn't look to be there. The depth of this roster doesn't look to be there. Maybe that's part and parcel with some of the injuries they've suffered lately. But it feels like they rely too much on that new top 4 in their forward group.
Given the realities of the business of MLSE, like let's not forget here, this isn't just about the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is about MLSE. This is about corporate sponsorships and partnerships. Where other teams may look at a season like this and say, you know what, perhaps it's a season to be a little bit quiet and maybe take a small step back. We'll treat it like a bunny hop. We'll go backwards 1 step and we'll go forwards 2 the following season. I don't know that that's a luxury that will be afforded to this team. If you're a Maple Leafs fan, are you concerned that the blinders may say, look, we got to go for it again. We got Matthews, we got Nylander, etc. As you point out, we can't take a small step back. And if it costs us moving Easton Cowan or Ben Danford, or if you're a fan, are you living in terror of that? Like, how do you feel about what Brad Treliving might have to do here to improve his team, knowing that internally it's probably not going to happen?
Yeah, if you're a fan, you should be worried about that, because they've already mortgaged a good part of the future over the last couple of years. And what are you mortgaging it for this year? You've got such a hill to climb. You've got to go on a run before it could even really make sense to try and add something to this roster that costs a high price. Like, Cowan scores that goal last night. I think he's fit in pretty well here for this team. It would be a tough ask, especially with the way that the Carlo trade is already looking for this group. And maybe like I don't know, is it an ode to the Phil Kessel trade of years past, where they've given up a potentially high first-round draft choice for something that isn't working out?
Yeah, it is top 5 protected, and that's why one of the things that I do wonder about is if it's not there for the Maple Leafs this season, and you're Brad Treliving, and this is going to it'll be some really hard sleeps for him. But do you just, like, listen, if you're a Maple Leafs fan, you're watching or listening right now, cover your ears and eyes. If you're Brad Treliving, do you just leave it? There's an old stock market saying, when a stock starts falling and people say, maybe I should get in now. Maybe it's going to bounce. Maybe it's going to recover. The old saying is always, never try to catch a falling knife. If you're Brad Treliving right now, do you not try to catch a falling knife here? You just sort of let this one hit the floor, get the pick, keep your prospects, keep your picks, and come back at it next year? Or do you think the pressures from up top, and make no mistake about it, there are pressures from above on this team? Like, what do you do? Like, what's your decision here? This is not an easy one.
If I'm putting my GM cap on and I'm playing the role of Brad Treliving right now, I am leaving it, Jeff. This team there's not enough picks and prospects. There's not a lot to go on here with this group for the future. Maybe you just, as the overused term is nowadays, keep your powder dry and just kind of let the chips fall where they may. If you do go on a run, maybe you change your calculations as the season goes on, but you're too far deep into the bottom of the standings right now that it wouldn't make sense to do too much of a renovation on this roster at this point.
Okay, so the other team that we wonder about, and listen, Jim Rutherford is the gift that keeps on giving.
Don't I know it?
Oh man, listen, everybody in sports talk in Vancouver has been dining out on this for a long time. It's a real blessing having someone like Jim in the market. Like, how do you see Vancouver playing out the rest of the season? It seems as if, this is like a video game, and eventually you're going to get to the big boss, and that's a big decision you make on Quinn Hughes. But getting there, it seems like there's going to be a lot of like sort of smaller deals in the process. Like, the way that it feels to me, Dan, is right now Jim Rutherford is trying to gauge, and they're taking the sort of market reaction on a lot of their players. It wouldn't surprise me if at the base of all of it, that Jim Rutherford, Patrick Allvin are trying to figure out right now, can they get more for Connor Garland with term, mind you, his new deal hasn't even kicked in yet, or can they get more for Kiefer Sherwood on this expiring deal, but knowing that come playoff time, every team wants Kiefer Sherwood.
Yeah, I mean, Kiefer Sherwood's going to be an incredible rental for somebody here, and just setting himself up really well for free agency this offseason when it's basically a barren wasteland and unrestricted free agency nowadays of talent. The Garland one, I think the Canucks, they need Garland on their roster, right? If it's going to be some kind of a quick retool, you can't move off of Connor Garland. He's too big a part of that forward group right now. He drives too much play for them beyond Elias Pettersson in that lineup. And, the hope of getting a young, projectable second line center for Connor Garland, I don't know if I see it, Jeff. Like, I don't know what team is necessarily doing that. All due respect to Garland, I think he's an incredible player and one that's continuously underrated across the league. But I know how NHL GMs work. They're going to look at Garland and be like, he's a wing, he's a little bit undersized, he's got some good blue collar mentality type things to him. But am I really going to trade a second line center for Connor Garland when wingers just aren't valued as highly maybe as sometimes they should be in trade?
Here's what I wonder about too. Getting back to Kiefer Sherwood. To me, historically, I would look at someone like Kiefer Sherwood and say, you're going to get one, maybe if you're lucky, 2 second-round picks. Do you think there's a chance they might get a first for Kiefer Sherwood?
Yeah, I think there might be a slight chance, right? We're going to have to see how this plays out. But, I mean, he's scoring like crazy. He hits everything that moves. Yes. He's the kind of playoff guy that you want on your roster. He was good in the playoffs a couple of years ago for the Canucks as well. And even going back further, against the Canucks, I should say, when he was with the Nashville Predators. Yeah. And I think that's a big part of the Kiefer Sherwood story here is, can you somehow force a team to overpay right now to get it done early? Or is your best bet to wait as you get closer to the deadline and teams have a little bit more of a better idea of how much of a contender they really are and how much they'd be willing to spend on that kind of a player? I think there's an outside chance that they could procure a late first round pick for Kiefer Sherwood in this current trade market, with there just being so few options available out there for teams.
So he's going to the Florida Panthers. and they're getting another one, and the first round pick that they move is probably 12 years old right now, and that's how they're going to get it done. And the Florida Panthers add another guy that hits everything that moves for their playoff run. Markov is healthy. Yeah. Matthew Tkachuk is healthy. It's sunny. His body's going to feel great. Everyone's going to feel awesome, and Kiefer Sherwood gets his cup.
He would be a perfect fit for the Florida Panthers. I can't even think of a better fit for Kiefer Sherwood, who set the hits record last year.
Maybe Tampa going up against the Florida Panthers. But so the other one, I mean, it's the big one, right? Like, this is the passion that pays us all. The Quinn Hughes discussion. Again, I'm not reporting this. This is just like, I think we've all sort of noodled around what a Quinn Hughes deal could look like? Like, what are the necessary pieces that you would need to get Quinn Hughes? And I thought you brought up a great point here, and that is we're not looking at a tear it down Chicago, Montreal, San Jose style rebuild. We're not going down to the nuts and bolts on this one. This is going to be, we want young players. We're going to take a step back, but not too much of a step back. I think this is much more along the lines of, Kyle Dubas trying to pick up like young players in their early 20s. And New Jersey seems the obvious destination, although I still do wonder about Detroit for the Michigan connection for the obvious reasons. I would look at it and say, if you're dealing Quinn Hughes and you're dealing with the New Jersey Devils, it would start with Simon Nemec, first of all. Yeah. Right? First of all, the New Jersey Devils have a lot of right-hand shot defensemen. Ahem. Yeah. So, and then Vancouver would probably want a forward, and I would wonder about Dawson Mercer. And I wonder if you make it an even bigger deal to make money work, and it becomes a Dougie Hamilton, who's on a contract that expires after, I think, one more year, just to make the money work and all of it. Or maybe you wouldn't even have to include Dougie Hamilton. Maybe it's a first-round pick. But then again, you're kind of negotiating with New Jersey in a place of weakness, because New Jersey can just sort of wait everybody out and say, like, I can either get them now or I can get them in a year and a half. I don't know. Have you done that, what'll it take game to get them to New Jersey? I'm sure the Vancouver Canucks have.
Yeah, we used to get it on the text box quite a bit. What it would take to get Quinn Hughes. I think the way I look at it to sort of think of a formula is like, you got to get two premium pieces if you're the Canucks at the very least.
Agreed.
Right. And by premium pieces, that's got to be a real blue chip type prospect that you can get from somebody else, and a blue chip type roster player that's probably in their early 20s to be something that you can build around. And the more I look at it, you go around and it's just like, how many teams really have that to offer? It's just
so. Hang on, pause on that. That's an excellent point, and here's why. I don't know a team that is going to have the ability to part with players like a Simon Nemec or a Dawson Mercer to get a deal done. Like I mentioned the Red Wings. I look at the Red Wings, I don't know they can put together. They'd be willing to put together a package that's worth more than what New Jersey could offer. That's why I go back to I keep saying it's got to be a first round pick too. I'm like, well, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't, because you're talking about two high-end players here.
Yeah, it's got to be high-end players. I think about the Matthew Tkachuk deal from Calgary to Florida, and it's like, okay, Huberdeau and Weegar. And maybe at the time, the better move for Calgary was like, maybe we should take a step back now, let it play out, rather than re-signing Huberdeau and Weegar. Just, maybe flip those for more assets and get that rebuild started a little bit earlier. They obviously went in a different direction, but I look at that as maybe a template of what you could do if you're Vancouver. Give yourself some different options. I know a lot of people have been asking me like, oh, could the Leafs get Quinn Hughes? And it's just like, well, what kind of a deal are you putting out there for the Leafs? Of course, Quinn Hughes would be the perfect fit for the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. Fixed like maybe 98% of their problems as a team. But it's like Matthew Knies plus. It's like, well, like I love Knies as a player, but if you're Jim Rutherford and the Canucks, are like, we want a center or we want a defenseman that we can build around. And that's no disrespect to Knies. It's just, that's what you're looking for if you're the Vancouver Canucks, if you absolutely have to go down the road of trading Quinn Hughes.
Absolutely. Okay, quickly, tell us about the show. Give us the details, the 555-1212.
Yeah, well, it's going to be incredibly fun. We've just been going through a couple of our rehearsals this week, and nice. I think we're going to have a lot of fun on the show. Cabby obviously brings a huge personality, and he's going to do a lot of the same things that you've seen Cabby do through the years, and bring that great interview element that's going to be a part of the show. Lindsay Dunn, same thing. She's in the field. What she did through the Blue Jays World Series run, some of the content she was building, so good. What she does with 6-inning stretch as well. I'm really excited about that group. And then I guess I'll be more of the traditional sports takey guy, and just cutting up the Leafs when they have a rough night and that kind of a thing. Riding the roller coaster with Maple Leafs fans and Jays fans and Raptors fans as well.
I've always said it, and it really applies to every Canadian-based hockey team, but it really applies to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Is there too much information out there about the Maple Leafs? Absolutely there is. And what do Maple Leafs fans want? They want too much information. I've always maintained, maybe the same way, Dan, you were in this market for a long, long time. There are no small stories.
No.
And I may sort of say that, and other markets look at it and go, oh, look at Toronto, they're ridiculous and they're obsessed. Like, every organization wants that. Every organization wants every story to be a massive story, because that's how you get to a place where your organization is valued in the multi-billions, right? It's like, that's what every NFL team has. As much as people look down their nose at the Maple Leafs, and it's right now, it's easy to take a shot at them and take a swing at the piñata. I get it, they're down. But when you look at the nature of the success of the organization, the fan base that doesn't seem to go anywhere, call them walking ATMs if you want, but it doesn't matter. Like, they've built this massive enterprise where there are no small stories. Every story is huge.
Yeah.
So it's on the one hand, it's tough to, like, do you buy the idea that it is such a tough market to play in? Because personally, I think Montreal's harder to play in than Toronto. Where are you at on we'll close on this one, Dan. The hardest place to play in Canada is where?
Well, I always love what Brian Burke said about Montreal, and it's like, in Montreal, you're stupid in two languages as the general manager.
Yeah.
And honestly, living it through Vancouver, there's no, like, Canucks fans are all in on the Canucks, right? And so when the JT Miller, Elias Pettersson thing happens, it's like, it's the biggest story in the market, and you can't run away from it.
That was the NHL. Like, that wasn't, Dan, like, that was not exclusive to Vancouver. Like, you shared that one. Thank you.
But it's even more magnified in the city. And I think kind of what's happened with the Leafs here, and you kind of see it right now, is you mentioned it off the top, the Blue Jays World Series run. It deflects a little bit of the attention. It takes the sports fan to a different place. The Raptors right now on their big winning streak, hey, they're a lot of fun. Maybe I'll check back in with the Leafs once they figure themselves out. So at least there's like a different area for the Toronto sports fan to go, rather than just focus solely on the Maple Leafs. But I mean, if things continue to go down this road where the Leafs are having a tough time, and this core group hasn't had the success that a lot of people thought it would when it first came together, people are going to continue to get antsy about where this is all going for the Leafs. So they're definitely going to feel it, but it definitely helps the Leafs as well that there's other outlets for fans to focus on rather than just the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I think antsy is a gentle landing. I'm thinking like torches and pitchforks is what we're looking at here for Maple Leafs fans.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen other objects get thrown onto the ice. No one ever knew that at the rink, but waffles and jerseys have been part of the conversation. I still remember when the Leafs were going through it a little bit, and they do the salute at the end of the game, and there was a tough time, and Dion Phaneuf captaining the Leafs at the time, they didn't do the salute at the end of the game, and what a huge story.
Worst move ever.
What a huge story that became, and for rightfully so. Like, the fans just want to see that you care about them at the very least, even if you're going through it on the ice. And it's those kinds of things, as you say, any small thing can get amplified to a millionth degree when you're in Toronto.
Like waffles.
Waffles, yes.
So good. All right, look forward to the new program getting underway here. Listen, can't wait to see you face-to-face, and wish you all the best. In the meantime, we will sign off digitally, and we'll catch up soon. Thanks, Dan.
Cheers, Jeff. Talk soon.
There he is, Dan Riccio, part of the troika of Cabby, Lindsay Dunn, and himself off the roster. Gets underway here on our Nation Network YouTube channel and wherever you stream your podcasts. Thrilled to have Dan Riccio as a colleague once again. That guy is super knowledgeable, super talented, and an awesome guy to boot. So thrilled to have him under the tent and here at the Nation Network, and thrilled to have that show launch as well. Zacharoo, what do we still have to do on today's show?
We got stat of the day, and I got a couple more headlines if you want to have some things thrown out at you to wrap things up. No hockey today. Is a tough one.
No hockey today is a tough one. Can we not have like on you? Listen, nobody. I had a friend of mine tell me, it's the way he's a Canadian, and he said it's the one day of the year that I really wish I was American. Because nobody does a day like this. Obviously, like in Canada, it's a little more muted and understated. Americans are just like, we're taking a week. We're going to blow it out. Greg's going to blow up his condo in New York with a deep fried turkey.
So
drink his weight in
Greg
beer.
Sent us the text when he's like, I can only do Tuesday this week, American Thanksgiving. I'm like, oh yeah, right. And then I'm like, we have you on Tuesday and Thursday. What do you mean American Thanksgiving? Like, take the weekend, man. Take the Friday, the Monday, whatever. What do you mean Thursday this is extending into?
I don't know.
Go to work.
Nope. Love it. But, like, just throw, like, your Canadian neighbors a bone. Give us one day. Although, then when I catch myself saying that, I'm like, well, there's plenty of American-born players on all these Canadian teams, too, here. So, like, I do get that. But, like, give your friends up here in Canuckistan, like, one game. Just give us one. Just focus all of our attention on something.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's lead that into one of the headlines I have for today. I'll give you two, and I think there's some of the more important ones happening right now. So go with the first one, the Thanksgiving cut line. I leave it at that, but I'll give you my opinion, and then I want to know what yours is. I think this is the most irrelevant, that the Thanksgiving cut line has been in a long time. Luke Fox tweeted out from Sportsnet last night the stat. Over the last few years, it's gone from the difference in points at this point in the season from first place to last place in the Eastern Conference specifically. You know, it went from 22 to 21 to 16 to 15. Now we're down to 9 before the game last night. That gap is even shrinking even more. I just think at this point, it can give you an idea of what your team is, which I think is fair to say, and who you could be. But in terms of make or miss playoffs, I think this is the least relevant it's been.
Nope, I could not agree more. This is the year where you really take it and crumple it up and throw it out. Yeah. Like I don't know when we're going to start to see some. I mean, obviously you see more of it in the Western Conference. Where, by the way, everybody, the Western Conference this year is better hockey. Like, let's just all be on the same page about like Western Conference hockey is outstanding this year. But nonetheless, the East is just like a collection of all the same teams. Everyone's kind of the same. No one's really distinguished themselves here whatsoever. Like, New Jersey's good. Carolina's good. Tampa right now is on another Tampa heater. They've had their issues and had to battle through a lot of injuries. Maybe this gets John Cooper's Jack Adams. So anyhow, we'll scratch that one, have that conversation later. But no one's really pulled away and really distinguished themselves. I take this one, the Thanksgiving cut line and the Avalanche or the outliers, and just say, nah. Right now, meaningless. Meaningless cut line at Thanksgiving. Anything can still happen in the NHL.
I was kind of having a laugh on Saturday after the Leafs lost to the Habs. I think unless you're Carolina or a Western Conference team, glass houses, you be careful. I was like, I'm reading online, and rightfully so, the Habs beat the Leafs and dismantled them, and I concede that the Leafs are not a very good team this year, but I was reading the Habs fans being like, look at this team, last place in the East, dumpster fire in Toronto, and I looked at the standings, and I was like, which doesn't say I'm not saying this is because it's Toronto's good, but had they won on Saturday, they would have been tied with the Habs in points. Yeah, like, we're that we're that close. It's a fraction of some of these teams. So everybody in the East, like, be careful. Unless you're Carolina, just watch yourselves.
Not saying the first quarter's been meaningless, but we've really not learned a lot. So far.
Well, the Red Wings were in first for like 30 seconds, and now they're outside of a playoff spot.
I know. Now they've lost like 3 of their last 4, and they got scotched by Czech's notes. Nashville?
Six the other last.
What did they pin up on you? Holy smokes.
Yeah. Okay, the other one that I wanted to get to, it is an Eastern Conference team, which, I mean, we're going polar opposites. I said nothing matters, and now I'm going to put this one up on the screen. The Lightning are a wagon. The Tampa Bay Lightning are a wagon. Is this just a temporary thing right here in Tampa? Right now in Tampa, is this something you think is sustainable? Like, where are you at on what the Lightning have done in the past couple weeks to get to themselves?
No one
to
should
where
be
they
surprised.
are and what they found.
Nobody should be surprised by this. Last year, I think we all could have seen the Tampa Bay Lightning win the Stanley Cup. The problem with that Tampa found was they faced off against the Florida Panthers in the first round. Like, if they didn't face the Florida Panthers in the first round, and say some other team upset Florida in the opener, could you not have seen the Tampa Bay Lightning win the Stanley Cup last season? They go out in the first round. I know it's been a few first round exits here, But could you not have seen that team winning the Stanley Cup at the end of all of it? Could you not have seen that team beating the Edmonton Oilers or the Dallas Stars or the Vegas Golden Knights? I know I could have. I could have quite easily. That's still an excellent team. And as I've told you before, the Marty McSorley, Dave Semenko story, when they played together with the Edmonton Oilers, Marty wanted to fight every night, and Dave always said no. Then one day he comes to the dressing room, Dave's taping up his hands, and Marty says, "What are you doing?" And Dave says, "Marty, every now and then we must remind them, and tonight we're going to remind them." And I think what Tampa Bay Lightning are doing right now is reminding everybody just how good this team still is. You know, what's the old sports saying? Too old, too slow, too good. We used to say that about Joe Pavelski. We also say it about the Tampa Bay Lightning. Too old, too slow, too good. This team is really good. And they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Really, yeah. That's all I had for headlines for you today. I think those are the biggest stories right now.
All right, well, let's get to our Uber Eats special then. Crave the Stats. It's a presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all of the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, and after the game. Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long and making people like me better parents. Just the Uber Eats, kids.
Yeah.
Sure, go for it. Oh, yeah, you want another My Box? Yeah, go for it. It's Uber Eats. Yeah, go for it. Oh, you're the best, Dad. Thanks, son.
Yeah.
You'll get there one
no
day.
Worries.
You'll get there one day. Thank you, Uber Eats. I'm a better dad because of you.
Today I've got one for you. This one comes from a player whose name pops up basically every single time I'm finding some type of today in history, Jeff, and I think you'll understand why. November 27th, 1965, Gordie Howe scored his 600th regular season NHL goal at 16:10 of the third period on November 27th. Do you think they cleared the benches for this goal? That is what I want to ask you about this one.
No.
600.
No. They didn't save pucks. They didn't clear benches. There are no big celebrations. There might have been they might have brought out like a tea service for him or something like that, which I always look back on. Some of the old ceremonies they used to have for guys are absolutely hilarious given today's context, but nonetheless, no. Nobody saved the puck. Nobody emptied the benches. They all just, showered up at the end of the day and went home to their wives and read the newspaper and then went to work the next day. So no, there was none of that. There was
attaboy, Gordy. 6:01 on Saturday.
Attaboy. Go get him, Gordy. Go get a good night's sleep, Gordy. Whenever I think of Gordy, I think about someone who I think you met at. Were you at the Dell Manor where we had Paul Henderson?
No, I couldn't go to that one.
Oh, Nick was at that one, right? Anyway,
I think so. Yeah.
So Paul Patsku is a dear friend of mine. Paul Patsku is, for my money, and many other people too, the world's greatest hockey researcher. He is thorough. He is concise. He has everything on his fingertips. He knows where to find everything at the Hockey Hall of Fame Resource Center if he doesn't have it already on his computer. And as great as he is with hockey, he's also great at the CFL. But hockey's really the sweet spot of his bat. This guy knows hockey like nobody else. And I remember during the lockout of 2004-2005, both being members of the Society for International Hockey Research. We were just like, there's no NHL going on. Like, there's a American Hockey League going on, but there's no NHL hockey happening. I ended up watching a ton of OHL games for the obvious reasons. Mississauga Ice Dogs where I would find myself every Friday night at the old Hershey Center. But we're looking for things to do. And I remember having a conversation with Paul about the Gordie Howe hat trick. And I'm like, I wonder how many he really had. So Paul, during the lockout, I don't know how many days he spent at the Hockey Hall of Fame Resource Center. And by the way, as we talked about on the show, Harry Cameron was the first to do it in 1917 for Toronto. He went through every game that Gordie Howe played in his 32 seasons in the NHL and WHA. You know how many game sheets that is?
I couldn't even imagine.
2,450 game sheets to find out how many times that he did it. And it turns out it was 2, both of them in the same season. I think it was 53, 54. And that was the time where I thought to myself, like, first of all, this guy's on a different level. This guy's crazy. But the other thing about it, and so, by the way, so whenever you hear someone cite that stat about how Gordie Howe only had 2 Gordie Howe hat tricks, remember, the person that did the research for that, who went through all the game sheets, was Paul Patsku, the world's greatest hockey researcher. But the other thing that he documented and was how many actual fighting majors Gordie Howe had in his entire career. This is one that's not widely reported. So 2,450 games, 32 seasons in the NHL and WHA. How many fighting majors do you think Gordie had?
I'm going to guess it's going to be not very many. I'll
right.
say, if I throw a number on it, I'll say 13.
Okay, that's really light. He did have more than that.
Okay, I thought you were going to hit me with like a shocking low number. That's why I went that way.
No. The number is 22. Gordie Howe
I'm not that far off.
No, you're not. But still, like 13. Like, give the guy some credit.
Yeah,
22 fights, and then Paul took it and even another step further. How many guys did Gordie Howe fight that were bigger than him?
I'll say 4. Well,
2.
2. Oh God.
So 22 fights in 2,450 games, 2 Gordie Howe hat tricks, and only fought 2 guys who were bigger than him. Listen,
pick on someone your own size, Gordie.
Well, now the caveat there is he was one of the biggest players in the game. It's like, oh, look at Chara. He only fights people smaller than him. Everyone's smaller than him because someone your own size.
What do you want him to do?
What do you want me to do? No one's as big as me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so whenever I hear Gordie Howe stats, and specifically the one about Gordie Howe hat tricks, I think about Paul Patsku, who's one of the for my money, the best hockey researcher of all time, and certainly one of the greatest. Like for a lot of hockey documentaries, here's one. When you look at a lot of hockey documentaries you do, always look at the credits at the end to find out who did the research on it. And dollars to donuts, you'll see Paul's name. He's the guy everybody calls because he's also got tons of video as well. Like, by the way, one of the great, I should do this sometime. One of the great things that I love doing with friends is taking them to the Hockey Hall of Fame Resource Center, because I don't know if you're aware of this. Like, there are boxes upon boxes upon boxes, and it's all donated, of videos that sit in a room, and they just don't have enough people to go through it, document all of it, and find a place for it to live at the Hockey Hall of Fame. Stuff is getting donated there all the time, which is great and awesome for hockey history. The problem is there's not enough people that would be willing to sit and go through all of it and figure out what all of it is. To say nothing.
Oh, I know a guy.
Well, no, I know a guy too, but then there's also like the reality of trust me, dude. Like, as far as like, Jeffy pieces out on the career, what am I going to do now? Yeah, I'm going to be at the Hall of Fame Resource Center. Trust me, I'll see you around Christmas and my birthday, and that's it. Other than I'm just going to sit in a dark room and watch hockey videos.
Honey, I'm going to work today. Jeff, you spent your whole life watching hockey, and now you sit in a dark room and watch old hockey.
I just had Vashi Nedemansky send me something. I'm going to ask him if I can talk about it. He just sent me a link to some really old video from 1969, which, for my money, was one of the most important emotional years in hockey. I can't give out any more details. Speaking of like finding obscure stuff, I live for that shit. I really do. You know me, Zach. Like stuff like that is just catnip. I'll take that all day long. Anyhow, I'm going long today. Thanks to Dan Riccio for stopping by. Do not forget, Off the Roster, a brand new program, Must Listen Toronto Sports Show, gets underway at the Nation Network YouTube channel. Also want to thank Jason Gregor for showing up today to talk to us about the Edmonton Oilers. And as we sign off, I have no idea how you're going to do this. But here we go.
Has something. But
oh, yeah?
I found something, yeah.
Watch your buddy Zach stretch the bubble gum as thin as it can get. The sheet is powered by FanDuel. Play your game with FanDuel. It's the NHL season, and FanDuel is your home for all the action on the ice. From Blue Line to Bet Slip, we've got you covered all season with unique promos, live offerings, and more features to let you play your game. Missed puck drop? No sweat. With a live same-game parlay, you can build up your bets until the final buzzer. Download FanDuel Sportsbook today and play your game. Please play responsibly. 18 plus and physically located in Ontario. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. I'm going to enjoy this. What you got?
Okay. So FanDuel has had Olympic stuff up for a little while. In terms of who wins.
Does the rink get built?
Players that could get left off.
Do we got anything about the rink? Come on, FanDuel. Let's go. Come on, FanDuel.
I would like that one put.
We got some really cool people at FanDuel. Let's get on that one. Let's go.
It was something I was going to bring up to you the other day, and then we kind of just passed it, and I was like, whatever, I don't really care that much about it. It's not that big of a deal, and people are going to say this guy's a homer. But then FanDuel put it up. So now I said, I got to do this because it's there, and I found it earlier today. John Tavares to make Team Canada at the Olympics is plus 380. I don't think he makes it. He's not making it. I'm not betting that myself.
Yeah.
But the conversation I wanted to have is more so, should there be a conversation? He's tied for 15th in the NHL in points right now. He's been a pillar of consistency throughout his entire career. You look at points per game, goals, assists, production in Long Island. He's copied it over to Toronto. It's been the same. Yeah. Like, he's been that way. And he's a guy who's figured out how to play his game and excel at it, regardless of foot speed. He's never been a fast guy, so not having foot speed at 35 seems to not bother him right now. This is a guy who just goes out there and does his job. He's been a part of Canadian teams, world champions, juniors, he was part of the Olympics, but didn't really get the opportunity in one of them. But, he's been there. He's been a part of the Canadian program. Is this a guy who should be getting more conversation this year for what he's done? Because it seems rather quiet unless you're in Toronto, which I kind of understand. But outside, it's just he's not really being thrown into that.
So he wouldn't play center, and there'll be a lot of centers on that team that'll play wing, right? Can John Tavares play wing? I would think so because his board play is excellent. The other thing that I would throw in, if you have Mark Stone on your team, can you afford to have two, although highly effective, slow-footed players on your roster?
Right, where I wonder about Mark Stone right now. Not because I don't think he's good enough, but I think
you don't think he's gonna be
that
healthy
foot
then?
speed is an issue, and health is serious.
He looks good with Marner and Howden, I'll tell you that. That line looks good. Howden, Stone, and Marner look good. Anyhow.
It's always been a question with Mark Stone about health. And then if you're looking at a guy who's already slower, struggles with health, and then you've got younger guys or different guys around, obviously, Jesus. I did that. As you look at, that conversation pushing younger, faster guys up, that pushes JT out of the conversation, which I get, but that's a separate one I'm having. I wonder about Mark Stone, but I don't know. I do think he could play wing, but I think that he would be more beneficial to you in terms of what he could bring as a center.
I think it's an interesting conversation. I think it's a Leafs morning take conversation. I think it's a Leafs after dark conversation. I would look at it, and my initial thought is no, But if they did put him on, I wouldn't squawk about it. I would understand. I just can't, like, if it comes down to, like, are we taking Connor Bedard or are we taking John Tavares? We're taking Macklin Celebrini, we're taking John Tavares.
Yeah, Macklin Celebrini. Yeah.
That's the way you go. But I think it's an interesting one. Like, I agree with you too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the other conversation is, have we sort of underrated John Tavares in his entire career? Which is another conversation that we can have. Then we have the Hall of Fame conversation with Pierre Maguire about John Tavares.
Yep. Yeah, we did.
Okay. I thank Dan, and we look forward to his program. Thank Jason Gregor. Don't forget DFO Rundown, the Friday morning edition with Mike Rupp. Looking forward to that tomorrow. Thanks for joining us in the chat. Thanks for downloading. Happy Thanksgiving to all of our friends and neighbors stateside. Hey, Zach, guess where I'm going now?
The gym? Hockey tournament?
No, I am going to the dentist for a cleaning, which made me think of your hometown.
You're going to Aurora.
No, you are from Aurora. Did you know that Aurora is the home of the creation of the toothbrush?
What?
Yeah. That the toothbrush was invented in Aurora.
So they should update the sign to say home of Robert Thomas, Barclay Goodrow, Stanley Cup champions, and the toothbrush.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The toothbrush was invented in Aurora because if it were anywhere else, it would be called the teeth brush.
Oh, my.
Talk to you tomorrow, everybody.
Show.
Get the hook out of your mouth, Zach. I'm happy now. Jeff Merrick along with you. Hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host Tyler Yaremchuk alongside Carter Hutton. Full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Faceoff, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zach Phillips, our producer here for the sheet, said if you subscribe, he'll buy you a puppy. It's true.